All right, let's get this show on the road. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, your weekly dose of all things Lord of the Rings. My name's Justin. That's Cliff. And Kelly
Hello, everybody.
from Happy Hobbit is joining
Hey,
us. Well,
hey
that's
there.
that's how everybody first met you, Kelly, but you've gone on to greatness since.
And more
Indeed.
greatness.
We are all in California, which is currently being hit by an atmospheric river. It is pouring water
Yes.
from the skies, and it's 90-mile-per-hour winds and insane. So if any of us drop out due to internet unreliability, we will try. We are all in different cities,
That's
so
funny.
we're gonna try to keep the show live.
We're doing our very best. And, there's always something spontaneous and organic and a little bit intriguing about doing a live show because you never really know what might happen next. You don't know if the cat is going to make a sudden guest appearance, or if this atmospheric river, I think, is the number seven storm system that has come through Southern California in this, well, what we loosely call a winter season here in California, right? Is that what we call it? But the plants are very happy. My garden out back, very happy. But, I just have to keep changing into dry shoes again. But I can put up with
How is the Happy Hobbit
that.
farm receiving all this rain?
Thankfully, we've got a very sandy soil. So when we get sandy or standing water, it doesn't last very long. But our
Mm,
area, unfortunately, has been hit really, really hard since January. And there has been severe flooding in all the communities near the rivers. And
hmm
unfortunately, in the farmlands just south of us, the levee broke. And so California, if you didn't know, is responsible for much of the produce that feeds the entire United States. And those fields are currently waterlogged. And these poor, impoverished communities are the ones that are suffering the most. And the workers are going out there in their waders trying to harvest the food for us in a bog, basically.
Yeah,
hmm
it's been insane. So that's a warning to all of our viewers today as we're live streaming on all the platforms. That if anybody drops out, it's because we're getting hammered. But we've got so much news to talk about. Also, we wanted to talk a little bit about the women in Middle Earth. It is Women's History Month, and I'm seeing all these wonderful posts and articles and things on the radio and things on YouTube and not everywhere else. So I thought, we should have a kind of a deeper dive into that. And Kelly, as the author of Middle Earth Script to Screen, with Weta Workshop's Daniel Falconer and your own fantasy, your own published books. I know you've kind of have an insight to maybe somehow some of the decisions were made in Peter Jackson and Philippa and Fran's world, and the making of the movies, and why some decisions were made, like taking Arwen out of Helm's Deep after they filmed it, and so there's just a lot to talk about, I think. But before we get to our main topic, should we go over the headlines?
Surprise new headlines, more castings, more actors and actresses joining season 2 of The Rings of Power. And yeah, I think that's at the front of mind for a lot of our guests and a lot of
A
our
lot of our
chatters here with
goats.
us. Well, I was going to say our guests, and it ended up sounding something different. A lot of our guests who are with us include Twitter, Facebook, Instagram Live, and YouTube, and Facebook Live, and Twitch. Welcome everybody from the community online to join us for our merry little conversation here today. Yes, I like the question that you put forth, Justin. Kelly, you've had
Could
such
you repeat it? My Wi-Fi cut out.
your Wi-Fi cut out. Well, I mean, you've had access. Okay, let's start there. So, for people in our audience who might not have a copy of your book yet, as an author yourself, and with your experience down there in New Zealand, being with the folks at Weta and working with Daniel Falconer on that wonderful volume, you've got, I perhaps more than most people, you have had some access and learned some interesting things. And in the context of Women's History Month, we wanted to ask your perspective on what you learned that might raise an eyebrow or two. What happened with Eowyn and Denethor and that other stuff they were going to film for them? They only got a couple of bits in the Houses of Healing, and even that was only shown in the extended edition of Return of the King, which has also made news headlines because there's April theatrical screenings of Return of the King coming back out now. So I would just love to bounce what Justin was saying a second ago and ask your input and some of your magical learnings that you may have learned, Kelly, in your magical time down there.
Well, my magical time down there was, gosh, in 2015. So at this point, I think a lot of the stuff that was surprising and new to me of what they shot that got cut from the films, a lot of it is already out there in the world. It doesn't mean the viewers all gathered here today necessarily know about it, but I've heard that there's leaked footage and things of that nature, so it might not be like shockingly new. But
Yeah, I did mean to say Faramir. I said something wrong. I meant to say Faramir and Eowyn, right? Where's my brain today?
But we keep hearing Cliff. You're the one that keeps talking about Peter Jackson promising us a 25th anniversary unicorn edition that would include all of these scenes and possibly a broader documentary that includes footage of Arwen at Helm's Deep, Stuart Townsend as Aragorn, and some of the other cut bits.
The infamous blooper reel that people have been speculating on for a couple of decades. Yeah, I love reporting on that. It's one of my favorite rumors because it is a persistent story around here, especially in our ecosystem at theonering.net, because we hear funny bits here and there. We realize the Embracer Group publicly just got done with the fresh ink on a new deal to have their interests in Tolkien enterprises renewed, or handed over to them now, rather. And this is really, really fascinating because I continually hear stories that as the 25th anniversary approaches, or whatever, it might be arbitrary to that date, but there are a lot of forces at work, and I'm not able to say much more than that, but there are things going on that I keep hearing about that support this specific story. Imagine, dear audience, if you will, that version of the Lord of the Rings trilogy that includes all of those things that we've never, ever, ever seen before, because there are obviously mountainous home video editions and extended editions that we already have, but there's still so much more that was never revealed, right? And that includes the blooper reels, the outtakes, the alternate takes, things that were considered and debated and then changed month by month, day by day, as they rewrote the scripts and sent new material out on fax machines. Yes, people back then, they were still using print paper fax machines. And the actors that very morning would get fresh sentences sent to them right at their trailer that they had to learn spot on that day while they were getting their latex hobbit feet applied to their human feet. These stories are all untold. This footage remains unseen. You both just talked a minute ago about Arwen's appearance at Helm's Deep. The only thing we've ever seen of that really is a couple of still photos in a couple of magazines and a brief, mention of it somewhere. But there's footage. There's a story to tell about why Liv Tyler wanted to talk to Fran and Philippa and Peter and say, this isn't working for me. Maybe this isn't the right energy or the place for Arwen as a character at this point in the narrative. And we've never heard those stories. So take a look at the Emmy Award-winning 3-part Beatles documentary, Get Back, that Peter Jackson helmed, and then take another look at your notes and think to yourself, what kind of amazing content could a big streaming platform get out of, Peter, Michael Pellerin, all the background people from Weta, and all the stuff, all the folks working below the line, interviews with people working so hard in the greens department, in the carpentry department, the makeups, the effects, the sword makers, the weapons makers. We haven't heard or seen barely a tenth of what is out there. From what I'm hearing, I want you guys to think more imaginatively about what that might look like when we get this unicorn edition. Why will it happen? Because the new ink that's dried on that paperwork with the Embracer Group and Warner Brothers Discovery reasserting their legal rights to their interest in the Tolkien properties recently, all of this leads to big green light signs, good omens. I think it's coming like an inevitable train coming down the track. I really do think so. That's just
Well,
one man's opinion, but
Cliff, that is a good segue into our first big breaking news. We can reveal what the future of Lord of the Rings films and video games are going to be titled.
what do you know? What are you about to surprise us with? What?
Folks, magic. You might see this image on screen. Tales of Middle Earth. That is officially the trademark that Fellowship of Fans found and posted on Twitter today. Lord of the Rings: Tales of Middle Earth is the official trademark for the all future video games, amusement park, theme park services, movies, streaming, everything that Middle Earth Enterprises, Embracer Group, Warner Brothers, and whoever else is all going to be labeled under Tales of Middle Earth.
So, Cliff, does that answer the question you asked on the panel we were on at San Diego Comic-Con last year, where you asked for theories on what the expanded universe of Middle Earth, if there were to be more films or more video games and such, would be called? Is this the answer?
Yep, this is the answer. I actually think so. Kelly, thank you. Yes, I had thought briefly it might be Chronicles of Middle Earth, or what did I say? Tales of Arda. I think that was something silly. Yeah, that was it. There you go. That was something I had popped into my brain for 3 seconds, and then it disappeared.
The chat room is already calling it Tome. Tome, Tales of Middle Earth.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, that's a great acronym.
It is.
Hey, not bad. And as a hardcore Magic the Gathering player for many decades now, oops, I'm dating myself. I shouldn't do that. But I've always been a really enthusiastic Magic the Gathering player, and I'm so excited, really, about these cards. I can't wait to review them and tell everybody.
Magic, if you're watching, we could use a review set. But yeah, Magic the Gathering just released some brand new cards.
Dear Wizards of the Coast, I believe that's the folks we need to say hello to. Hello, Wizards of the Coast. Come and join us on our show and share some cards, and I'd love to play because I know how to play this game, and I'm excited about these new lands and these new characters and these new instant cards.
And these cards are the first ones to use that branding, Tales of Middle Earth, but
wow.
The sleuths at Fellowship of Fans found a trademark application that applies to everything moving forward. Miss Callie in the chat room is like, what amusement park? Well, if you've been following Torn for a long time, no one has announced anything, but we have been reporting for Cliff. How long has it been? 5 years now? Every 6 months we get a new nugget of details, and the pieces are coming together. But the rumors are, for the last several years, Universal Studios Florida is building a Lord of the Rings theme park based on the Warner Brothers property. And we've gone through on recent shows. We've shown you a lot of the evidence. We've shown you park maps, potential rides, names of things, building permits, the whole deal. So that's the rumor. Again, nothing's been announced yet, so we're just gonna table it as Green Dragon gossip. So I like this. I like the idea of Tales of Middle Earth being separating the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, the Lord of the Rings, from whatever's coming in the future.
Okay, now we're talking about branding. Now, okay, This is a weird concept in many people's minds because of the literary legacy of J.R.R. Tolkien. But if they are trying to create a new brand that is going to help other people understand that these are entertainment products in the entertainment, consumer marketplace, literally speaking in terms, this is not literature. This is an entertainment product in the commercial marketplace. And if they do succeed with some kind of interesting branding like this, TOME, what a great acronym, Tales of Middle-earth. What do you think, Kelly? I mean, going forward, this is part of our job here at theonering.net, is to continue to have these conversations with our audience, because we always talk about, in a very robust sense, we talk about the literature, and in an equally robust sense, we talk about the pop culture side of this stuff. What do you think about this aspect of this branding that they're doing?
I mean, as you brought up at San Diego Comic-Con, I hadn't really thought about it until you mentioned that, but like, you're right, they're gonna have to call it something. And I'm happy with this because it makes me think of the Unfinished Tales. It feels true to Tolkien. It makes it clear that this is an expansion of the story that many people if you look at the tale of the War of the Ring as sort of the focal point, then there's a lot going on around that, and a lot going on before, not so much after. I mean, he took a stab at after, but there's a lot of many paths to tread there that could be so fruitful. And I'm still stuck on the acronym because it just makes me think of if you put all of Tolkien's works into one book, it would be such a massive tome. And so I love that it still keeps that bookish literary feel to it.
Oh, totally. A question from the chat room. Katie wants to know, whatever the brand is, I want to know what their goal is regarding bringing people to Tolkien's works, what their regard is towards community, and what that all means to them.
Really good questions, Katie.
Yeah,
excellent question, Katie. And I would venture to say that we do a lot of the community stuff. That's what theonering.net does. That's what other community podcasts and YouTube content creators and others provide. They're the folks providing the product. And we, the rest of us, all of us Tolkien online community folks, are the ones who try to steer, awareness and the conversation, perhaps. Is it less on the company that makes the new game or the new amusement park? Or how much of a burden is on the company at fostering community? It's an excellent question, Katie. It really is.
Well, I want to know from Kelly, when you were researching and digging into the archives, when you were co-authoring Middle-earth Script Screen with Weta, were there any stories or notes or anything that mentioned the community and considered the fans?
Oh, I think Kelly lost her signal for a moment.
She might have frozen again. Oh yeah. We are in the middle of a storm and internet's going in and out.
Yes,
let's keep going with the latest news, and if Kelly jumps back in, we'll bring her back in.
I would love to have her. I'd like to have your thoughts. Yeah, we do. But Justin, 2 seconds. What's your idea on this branding? I think it's kind of cool, actually.
It's
Tales
fine.
of Middle-earth.
Yeah, and tone.
What, you mean it's just fine?
It's fine.
You think it's fine?
Yeah, I love it because it separates all these new and fresh stories from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
It's like calling DC Extended Universe, Star Wars Extended Universe. We were always wondering, what are they going to call it? Extended Legendarium, the Legendarium. The Tales of Middle Earth is a wonderful branding exercise. Yep. And
it was either that or Tales of Arda, which encompasses the entire planet, not just a geographic section of the planet.
And they had written themselves into a corner because a lot of other franchises use the word expanded universe, etc.
Yeah.
But that word expanded is way too close to extended. And Lord of the Rings created the extended edition concept. So you don't want to you don't want to like confuse, like, you still want to be able to, let's say they do a young Aragorn movie and maybe they do a young Aragorn extended edition. You don't want to cannibalize the word extended or expanded.
That's true. In branding, these concepts are very, very important. I get that. Utaku Senpai has an excellent question about whether the upcoming Warner Brothers release of the feature film War of the Rohirrim would be under that banner of Tales of Middle-earth or not.
Yes. It is our expectation that yes, it would be, even though it was the production was begun on the previous deal, so was these Magic the Gathering cards. Everything that's coming out now, the Lego set, the Magic cards, they were all started on the previous deal before Embracer got involved. But the fact that they're applying this branding to all the stuff that's coming out as of now, I fully expect. And look, War of the Rohirrim, those are not Lord of the Rings cards, Cliff. Put them away. We're not on a Magic
No. I'm
show.
just saying, look, here's my Magic the Gathering starter deck, a white.
But that's not the Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering.
No, I'm just saying.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Oh, it has everything to do. I'm just sharing my enthusiasm as a Magic player that this is so cool that there's going to be Lord of the Rings Magic the Gathering cards. It is so super cool. I'm very excited.
Such a nerd.
I'm so excited.
I've got more news I got to crank through this news, Cliff. All right, I got to crank through this news. Today,
let's
folks,
crank the news.
Today is a very special day. We want to wish our favorite actor from Rings of Power Season 1, Joseph Mall. It's his birthday today. He is 49 years old.
Wow.
He's almost 50, which of course is the age that both Frodo and Bilbo left on their adventures. So
just a baby.
Joseph Mall, I just want to say you were the best part of Rings of Power. You brought so much to a brand new character. You were the strongest character in Rings of Power that feels most like Tolkien would have written, and I am very sad that you couldn't come to an arrangement to continue your work with Rings of Power.
Yes.
The fans are totally on your side, and I
second that emotion.
We want you to know, Joseph, that the fans love you. You have nothing to be ashamed about. Everything that we see on screen is the best of Tolkien, not just best of Rings of Power. It's the best of Tolkien, and just happy birthday, man. And I hope our paths cross at some point. We weren't able to connect with you, last year at Comic-Con or any of the premieres, but Joseph Mall, happy birthday.
We will always call you Father. We will always call you Adar. Thank you, Joseph, for your contribution, good sir, to a remarkable and very interesting season 1, but to be brought back into the visual world of J.R.R. Tolkien. And there you were, Joseph. There you were in the most burning embers of untold narrative, grief and vision. Whether it was right
vision.
Or wrong.
Yes.
His character had more vision and more of a foresight of what he wanted to achieve, whether it was right or wrong. But this was such a morally interesting character within the world of J.R.R. Tolkien, and it was such a great portrayal. And as we have often said on this very broadcast, it's a shame you couldn't stick around, and I wish that they had accommodated you. Good sir, you're the best, and we wish you a very wonderful and very blessed birthday with lots of family and friends and many blessings for you. Happy birthday, Joseph.
And going back to what we were just talking about with all of the
like
unseen...
Snape. Finrod said he was like Snape. He was our Severus Snape character, perhaps, for this whole series. Maybe.
Yeah.
Interesting connection.
And like
It
we
was
were
our
just talking
Alan
about
Rickman.
with Peter
Yeah.
Jackson's movies, there's a bunch of stuff that they shot that we haven't seen yet. Likewise, we have heard, Cliff, you and I have both heard several stories from several people from the set of Rings of Power
Yes, we
about
have.
what Joseph was trying to do with the character, stuff that they filmed that we did not see in the final edit. And I am very encouraged with what I've heard behind the scenes of what Joseph was bringing to the character. And I'm sad that some of the rumored stuff that you, Cliff, you and I have heard, the fans have not seen. It's we've hinted at some of the stuff before, but yeah, hopefully one day we get to see Joseph's full brilliance. So happy birthday, Joseph! Also, this weekend, Galadriel's birthday, Morfydd Clark. It was her birthday this weekend, so happy birthday, Morfydd. You've been a wonderful friend of the fans all the way back to Comic-Con, spending so much time with everybody. Cliff, did you get a chance to hang out with Morfydd Clark last year? 1-to-1?
I did. I got to talk with her. She said she had read my articles on theonering.net.
No way.
And I want to say, without any other doubt, okay, that this is a very wide-brimmed hat. And I want to say, you don't think I would miss your Auntie Galadriel's birthday? No, I would not miss your Auntie Galadriel's birthday. So happy birthday, Auntie Galadriel. Happy birthday, Morfydd. And thank you for taking a look at our articles, our humble articles on theonering.net. Hey, you guys, we do more than just a live stream. We actually do have a real website where you can read wonderful think pieces and articles and feature guest writers. So good stuff. This is
Cliff.
This is my
Gandalf. Is there opportunity?
Like my Gandalf hat?
Cliff, is there opportunity for Joseph Mall to be cast in the Warner Brothers movies?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is there though? Because
Sure.
he's already, his image and likeness is associated with Rings of Power now. I anticipate that the movies and the show will start to separate.
At this point, that this fellow has been in Game of Thrones now, and in J.R.R. Tolkien, The Rings
And
of Power.
in Yellowstone with Harrison Ford.
Yes, and he's in some of the biggest franchises that are happening on television. I would not be the least bit surprised that he shows up in another huge Star Wars series, or maybe, somewhere he might show up as a surprise character.
Got
in
it. He
The
definitely
Mandalorian.
has it. Oh, I think we got.
Oh, yeah.
I think we got Keeley back.
He's got that. Hey there. That's lovely.
You're
to have you
back.
back. Hey there, Kelly.
My
Welcome
power
back.
cut completely and then came back. So
Oh my goodness.
Well, we warned everybody that there might be interruptions.
I did the only logical thing. I went and got my leftover Valentine's Day chocolates from C's Candies and started eating them.
You're not stressed.
As one does. I love C's Candies. Do they still offer a sample? Can you go to the store and say, "Oh, can I have a sample of the key lime truffle or something like that?"
Cliff, John from the One Ring from New York?
Yes, John
He's got-
Tedeschi.
Yeah, he's got a strong New York accent. When we took him to C's Candies, they heard his accent.
Yes.
He played dumb a little bit, and they just kept giving him chocolate after chocolate, being like, "Well, then you must try this one, and you must try this one." You're like, "You just got a half pound of chocolate for free."
That's
Oh,
amazing.
man. Oh,
Well, we've got
amazing
other news to keep going. Kelly, happy to have you back. But
welcome back.
another thing announced this week. We are in the middle of the Two Towers 20th anniversary celebration. Again, this is the 20 years ago. Two Towers was just barely coming out in March on DVD, the full screen. I got it right here. This came out in March 20 years ago. The full screen pan and scan Lord of the Rings Two Towers theatrical cut. the best version of the movie that you can watch, in my humble opinion, and no one agrees with me. So this came out 20 years ago this week. It features bonus features that no other version of this movie has, including the music
Gollum
video.
song. Yes.
Including the music video to Gollum's song.
Yes.
It includes Billy and Dominic's short film. Remember, we saw that a few weeks ago.
You mean that would be Sean Astin's short
Sean
film?
Astin's. Yeah, Sean Astin.
It was Sean's film, yes.
And so anyway, so to celebrate, the New Zealand Mint has created a new set of 1 ounce silver coins. Here they are, beautiful 1 ounce silver coins, collectible coins of the Two Towers. Kelly, pop quiz. Name the Two Towers.
Orthanc and it's in Mordor, right?
Cliff, lifeline.
Sure.
Do I get a call?
Yep, you can call a friend. You want to phone a friend? Phone me up. Yes.
Dude, I'm annoyed with myself because I know this, but when it's like
you got one of them.
Back to math class in 4th grade, and I
pop quiz stresses you out.
Well, yeah, the first one of the Two Towers.
Barad-dûr, Orthanc and Barad-dûr.
Barad-dûr, yes. And the second one, according to the movies, is Orthanc, which is within the circle of Isengard, obviously. But in Tolkien's book, I think the literature folks are more inclined to say that the second tower is the Tower of Minas Ithil, which ultimately becomes
Minas Morgul.
And that's what is the most terrifying encounter they had in the book. So it seems to be a suggestion of Barad-dûr and Minas Morgul would be the Two Towers. But, there's a couple of different frames of reference.
Will we see either of those 3 towers that you mentioned, Orthanc, Minas Morgul, Minas Ithil, or Barad-dûr? Will we see any of those in Rings of Power?
By the end of season 5, we should see the construction of Barad-dûr. Sure. Even by the end
Why
of season
would
4.
we? He's not a flaming eye yet, so he doesn't need a home. Why would he be building Barad-dûr?
Well, he's going to start building it, and then eventually he gets captured by the Númenóreans, and he allows himself to be taken as captive back to the island of Númenor, while Barad-dûr is still being built. So I think we're
But why is he building Barad-dûr?
Kelly, would you like to? Did your Wi-Fi freeze? No, if you're still there, Kelly.
Wait, or was it just me freezing?
Yeah, that was just you, I think. But what the concept of him building such a fortress would have started early because it would have taken such a long time to build.
But what's the purpose of it existing? Why does he build Barad-dûr?
Because why would you build Minas Ithil, their watchtowers and their military fortifications? Mordor is his stronghold. He knows that at some point he's probably going to be attacked.
Okay.
Like, it's a military campaign, really. He's trying to wage war all the time. He just isn't strong enough to most of the time.
Got it. All right. Well, that's that is the Two Towers collectible coins from New Zealand Mint. Those are available for sale now. Also put up for sale this week, the Mouth of Sauron from Pure Arts. This is a 1-to-1 scale figure. So this is real life 1-to-1. Wait, let me make sure. Yes, 1-to-1. So it's as large as your head. Whose head? I don't know. But the Mouth of Sauron is available for pre-order now. As you can see, $7.49.
Wow.
And the details on it are just incredible. It's of course based on Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, so it is licensed through Embracer. And you've got I never noticed all of the wording that is etched into the mask of the Mouth of Sauron.
Oh, that is wild.
Do you guys remember who played the Mouth of Sauron?
Yes, it was the Australian actor. His last name was Pence. Was it Stephen?
Bruce Spence.
Spence. Excuse me. It was Bruce. It was Bruce Spence. And
Bruce
people know
Spence.
him. they know him from the earlier Mad Max movies, where he appeared in Mad Max the Road Warrior and Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. So he was in that franchise all over the place in the late 80s as an
He
Australian
was
actor.
also in Star Wars Episode 3. He was the
Yes,
guy
that's right.
on the planet Utapau that has
Utapau.
the stripes on his head.
He's got the tall, elongated head, and he has that brief conversation with younger Ben Kenobi about them being watched from the landing platform. I remember that very distinctly
That's
because he
right.
had such crazy latex makeup on him, just like he had to deal with when he was the mouth of Sauron.
And there was a big controversy when I believe it was the Obi-Wan show came out, and they brought back another character from that race of beings from Utapau, and it looks nothing like it. It looked like a cheap CW TV show version of that character. Like his
Right,
head
no,
just looked
see,
like
Yes, and Monica,
it
Monica
was
says
totally
he's
wrong.
from the banking clan, and yes, his name was Tyon Medon. Yes, the banking clan.
Yes, yeah.
That's right.
So
That's
Bruce
right.
Spence has been in such wonderful, wonderful things, and of
Was
course,
Wasn't he also in Legend of the Seeker,
Ooh,
yes, I
yeah,
believe
maybe.
so. Yes,
Yeah.
the wizard?
yeah. So, yeah, huge new release. People have wanted this for a long time. So that is the Mask of Sauron. The other thing announced officially today, we gave you a rumor about it 3 weeks ago, folks. We gave you a heads up, and now it is official. Fathom Events is bringing the Lord of the Rings: Return of the King 20th Anniversary Extended Edition to cinemas in the United States next month, April 13th,
That's right.
and they've added a second show on April 19th.
That's right. And it is the 4-hour, 11-minute runtime of the extended edition of The Return of the King.
my God.
4 hours and 11 minutes of pure Academy Award-winning bliss.
On the big screen, and this is not just they aren't just sending a copy of the 4K that you might own at home. This is an official digital DCP, as they call it. This is an official theatrical grade
Wow.
sent
I'm so
to
excited.
sent to theaters with 4K digital projection. This is basically what all new movies come out on a DCP master. So yeah, this is Return of the King Extended Edition on a brand new DCP master, and it's so two nights next month, April 13th, April 19th. There are some special things that will be shown before the movie. We are told that the special things are part of the pre-show. So when you see the time, like you can go to the website, fathomevents.com, enter your location, get some local things. AMC, Cinemark, and Regal Cinemas are all participating, and the show time is the time the movie starts. There will be no trailers. It's just Return of the King because that movie's so gosh darn long.
Yeah,
so
there shouldn't be half an hour of trailers. Absolutely not.
But there
Yes.
is a half hour of pre-show in the half hour before the time listed on the website, including a D&D game with several of our friends on there, a video intro from Elijah Wood, and maybe something extra that we will be talking about in future weeks. So get your tickets now. They told me this morning that it's approaching 30,000 tickets already sold, and they just announced it this morning. So
Wow.
This is the hottest ticket. It's playing in thousands of theaters nationwide. Again, AMC, Cinemark, Regal. If you've got any of those near you, you might be able to catch it. So
Here's what's interesting. I have the AMC app. It's open right in front of me, and I can double check. I also have the website for Fathom Events in front of me.
That's right. And you can go to Fathom Events and it'll tell you what cinemas near you, or you can just go to AMC or Cinemark or Regal and search for Return of the King because tickets are now on sale. Monica asks, so be there by 6. Yes, if If the website tells you the movie starts at 6:30, the movie starts at 6:30. If you want to get there and see all of the cool pre-show content, get there at 6. That's what I'm saying.
The tickets are available through the regular AMC app. I'm an A-list member, which means I pay for the monthly membership, and I get to see three movies per week with this app. And I can actually buy the ticket through the Fathom Events website, regular through Fathom, or I can go right through the AMC app. And here you go. I just have to choose 7 p.m. Look, that's a tiny screen. All right. Now that I'm looking,
Well,
I want to give specific
the chat
advice
room
to the
says,
audience.
is there a link on the Discord? I just posted it in Discord. If you're not already in our Discord, you need to join our Discord. And I just put it in the announcements, a link to the Return of the King Extended Edition,
And
brand new
I wouldn't-
DCP.
But you should be warned ahead of time that if you're going to the Universal City Walk, they have crammed it. AMC has decided to cram this movie into one of their smallest, tiny little side
No,
auditoriums.
for now. If more tickets sell, if they're not limiting tickets. I was told this morning they're not limiting tickets. So if they sell out a certain screen, they're gonna upgrade you to a bigger screen.
A bigger screen? Well, guess what? The one at Century City, that AMC audience is a much bigger auditorium.
Well,
I'm one of those sticklers.
Nobody cares about
small or
Century City
big
because we got
auditoriums.
people watching from around the world right now. So there you go.
No,
Check
but
it
the
out,
audience
and
does
we will
care
have
about the tiny screens versus
updates
the
on
big ones.
the Lord of the Rings Return of the King 20th Anniversary Edition. It is now at Fathom Events, and the link is now in our Discord. And I'll be posting something about this probably tomorrow on the website.
Kelly is giggling while we fight over this. It's funny. It's very amusing. Very funny. Well, I'm excited. I have to say, to everyone who's watching, I know Kelly, why don't you come on down and visit with us, Kelly? We'll make a little mini holiday, and we'll all go see it in the theaters together. Wouldn't that be great?
That would work out because I don't even have a movie theater in my town.
Oh my goodness. No, come join us. It would be lovely. It would be
That
great.
would be really fun.
Talk about rural life. Another announcement. This Sunday, this weekend is WonderCon, and the Wandering will have a panel on Sunday. 1-day tickets are still available. I believe they're pretty affordable. Last year they were only $40. So WonderCon is this weekend. It's in Anaheim. It's across the street from Disneyland.
Yes.
So we'll see you guys this Sunday at Disneyland. We have, let's see, what else is going on? Oh, other news. Waldreg, the actor that plays Waldreg, has confirmed that he is part of season 2. So the guy that unlocks the big river explosion, the guy that Treebeard would tell to release the river, he is back for season 2. According to a new French interview.
And that actually supports the idea that he might become a future ring wraith. What do you guys think?
The Discord thinks he is going to be the Witch King.
No. Really?
Or the mouth of Sauron.
That's, well, okay. I guess that's likely. What do you think, Kelly?
I think it's possible, but also, there's a lot of time we still have to cover before we get there. See, this is where I get confused because I do know that in Rings of Power they're doing a massive time compression. But I'm like, we've got a couple centuries to play with here that he could have more loyal lieutenants come forth in the interim.
Oh, totally. What's crazy to me is that we have not been introduced to any of the ring bearers. Remember, there's 9 rings of men, 7 rings of dwarves, and we've only been introduced to 2 of the 3 elven ring bearers. And we haven't even really been introduced to Sauron in his final form. So we don't know any of the ring bearers, let alone who the lieutenants will be.
Indeed. That's a lot. There's a lot of narrative ground yet to cover. A hell of a lot.
The other thing,
correct.
The other thing I wanted to talk about Waldreg before we move on, because there's so much more to talk about, is, let me bring this up on screen. This was the teaser poster. Remember when they released 25 posters and gave them to a bunch of fan sites? This was the poster of that sword helm, which turned out to be a key that unlocks the river. And that is obviously Theo. That is Theo's jacket. That is Theo's young hand. That is not Waldreg. And I mean, Cliff, we've talked about it enough, and I'm almost sick of saying it. This was the stupidest misdirection. We don't want mystery boxes. Why the heck did you release a poster of this sword with this character when in the show this sword has more to do with Waldreg? Waldreg's the one that activates the sword.
Purposeful misdirection.
This was purposeful misdirection and a waste of our time.
Up to a point. I would listen. I would speculate that there's an early addiction phase going on here for young Theo. I don't know how else to describe it, but he has been unfortunately, he's been tantalized by the taste of dark power from that weapon, and he's so deeply intrigued by it. You can tell by the completely unsettled look on his face. You can tell by the way that the writers have presented it, that Theo is starting to get way too interested in this, and it's going to be an addiction problem like The Ring became an addiction to Gollum. That's what I'm thinking. What do you guys think?
Well, the chat room is saying that the Theo is probably going to be a Nazgul, and to say that we haven't met any of the 9 ring bearers that turn into Nazgul might be incorrect. And that's the story to be told.
If you're talking about a character who is struggling with what he thinks is right and wrong and struggling with his place in the world, especially with all the upheaval that just happened in his life, and the question of his missing parentage, is going to come in to future seasons and be tied into that look that he has in his face when he's using that sword to make his wrist bloody and to draw its power. He's super into it. So watch out. Watch out, Theo. Be careful. Be careful.
I think they do have big plans for Theo, because that young actor was on all the press tours. They brought him out to Comic-Con. And they really are elevating his profile, and so I think that there are big things planned with Theo. It's a shame that he's not the one that unlocked, the river, even if it was an accident. I mean, no one knew what the sword was going to do, so Theo could have been the guy that solves the mystery of the sword. And accidentally creates Mordor.
Well, yeah, that could have happened. Yeah. But you don't want any... This was a very deliberate plan. And that's what a lot of people on the internet have argued about for quite a while now, about why was there such a weird, deliberate plan to terraform Mordor, and how was that lake stored there up on the side of the hills for so long, with the whole aqueduct idea to be unlocked with a sword? Who thought of this whole thing? And what was the purpose behind it? Well, we know the result.
We'll find out in season 2 when Sauron explains all.
I still don't understand it.
Sauron's tell-all.
Sauron's tell-all. Those I don't know if you've been following, Kelly. The rumors are season 2 is basically Sauron.
I don't follow spoilers.
All right, I won't say anything. But no spoilers. But the big news this week was, of course, 3 new actors have joined the show, including the biggest acting name to join Rings of Power since Lenny Henry. I do not speak Irish. I do not know how to say his name. Ciarán Hinds? Is that how you say his? Kieran?
Is it C or T?
Ciaran.
Ciaran. I think.
Kieran.
I think it's Kieran in Irish.
Like Kieran Culkin, but not spelled like an American. Irish actor.
Is the language.
Ciarán Hinds has joined Rings of Power. This is the biggest acting name since Lenny Henry joined season 1.
Yes, he is amazing, and this is a big big casting announcement for him to be joining Rings of Power. Welcome aboard, Mr. Hines. You are adored.
Oh,
He
the
is
chat.
he,
Finrod in the
he
chat room is
is
saying Siren.
totally awesome.
It could be.
Siren.
Yeah,
All right, I'll go with that. Thank you,
Could be.
Finrod.
This
But-
this is embarrassing for me because my boyfriend's a native Irish speaker, meaning he speaks Gaelic, and he's been trying to teach me for years. And I'm nonstop saying I could learn it faster if the way it was spelled was actually how it was pronounced. And if I say that in a pub in the Gaeltacht, which is where they speak Irish as alongside English, everyone turns to me and goes, "Oh, sure, but it is." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not spelled the way it's pronounced, at least not for a native English speaker."
Wow. Yeah, well, I have trouble with it too. I used to say Celeborn all the time.
Yeah.
I used to say Celeborn all the time until I figured it out.
It's the French.
Yes.
The French and their C that they turned into an S. Like, why did the Norman invasion have to change the language so much?
C'est bon. C'est bon. Which starts with a C. Sounds like that. C'est
Other
bon.
people in the chat room are confirming it is Siren Hines. Who do you think the first?
He's brilliant.
The first character, yes, he's brilliant. He was nominated last year for an Oscar for his role in Belfast, Kenneth Branagh's Belfast.
Yes.
He has been in so many things. He's been Rome. He's been Julius Caesar. He's been in so many things. You recognize his. You can almost hear his voice as soon as you see his face.
Certainly, people immediately remember him from Thrones as well.
So, the first character that comes to mind when you think of an accomplished Oscar-nominated actor, Ciarán Hinds.
Wow.
The first one is who? And why is it Círdan?
I think that's great. He would be wonderful as Círdan the Shipwright. That would be awesome. But actually, I would like to see him as, maybe a significant dwarven lord from one of the other dwarven clans.
He is very tall. He is a tall man in real life.
That's never mattered.
Well, they had a hard time filming forced perspective on season 1. A very hard time. They haven't got it down yet. So, Cliff, if I remember correctly, Círdan the Shipwright is one of the official ring bearers. He gets one of the 3 elven rings that eventually ends up in the hands of Gandalf.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, you're right.
And if I recall correctly, he is one of the only, if not the only, elf that Tolkien describes as having a big long beard.
Yes, that is also correct. That is
well,
also
we
right.
found a photo of Ciarán Hinds from Harry Potter with a big long gray beard.
No way.
And if
What?
that isn't a shipwright, I don't know what is. Come on.
Oh, that's funny.
Is that the shipwright?
Can you see that, Kelly? I'm not sure if you can see
No.
that. No?
Well,
is this-
So I'm
Kelly,
looking it up on.
yeah, you, I think you had a conversation with a dialect expert on Rings of Power when we were in London. What race of characters use the Irish accent?
Are you sure that was him?
The Harfoots use
Oh,
this
maybe that is him.
bizarre. I mean, that was my first impression. Was when we saw some footage in London. We had opportunities to ask questions, and I said, "Why was like this weird?" I didn't say weird. I'll say Irish accent, even though it's not really an Irish accent. It's kind of like a theatricalized Irish accent. I said, "Why was that chosen for the Harfoots?" And the response was that it was intentionally off. It intentionally wasn't meant to sound like an Irish accent. They wanted it to sound familiar and native to a place, but also have its own twist to it. Well, I spend a lot of time in Ireland. I know I'm not from there, but to me, it sounded a lot like an Irish accent.
Oh, yeah, especially Nori. Doesn't Disa the dwarf sound Irish a lot? Even though a lot of the dwarves are Welsh, the actors are Welsh.
They went with like a Northern English Scottish accent for the dwarves.
Oh, that's right.
Which plays, and the reason I asked is because if you watch enough BBC, you'll see a very Anglo-centric point of view portrayed, where the fringe Celtic cultures are still depicted as other. So often, if you're watching like a procedural crime drama set in England and some really heinous person comes, it's often an Irish or a Scottish or sometimes a Welsh person. They're still kind of exotified and pushed to the fringes. And so once you notice that pattern, and if you know anything about the history between the United Kingdom and Ireland, you get a little sensitive to these things and to the stereotypes that are potentially being, I don't want to say exploited necessarily, but are intentionally being used to do some of the work for world building by assigning these accents to these different races. Is that doing some of the heavy lifting of the production, because people have assumptions that go along with these accents. And the reason I asked the question was because I could foresee that it was going to cause trouble in Ireland, and sure enough it did. There were several, the Irish Times, I think it was writing about, like, once again, we're the grubby little folk who don't even have shoes, and we're running around doing our wee things. And
oh gosh.
So I do not think that there's a direct parallel to be drawn there. I don't find the Harfoots necessarily demeaning. If someone said, "Oh, Kelly, we based the Harfoots on you," I wouldn't be like, "How dare you?" But I do think it's important to remain culturally attentive and sensitive to understanding some of these more nuanced
Interesting comment from the chat. Cliff, I want your reaction. If the Irish accent was used for the Harfoots in season 1 almost exclusively, the chat room wants to know, could Ciarán Hinds be a Fallowhide or a Store?
Well, that's quite possible. If the if the dialect coach and the folks working on the show want to use those regional accents to help make distinctions, then maybe if they introduce any of the other of the 3 Hobbit predecessors, and we've only met the Harfoots so far, then it is greatly within the realm of possibility that they might want to use dialect to change or to make it easier for the audience to digest differences between Fallowhides, Stores, and Harfoots. Is it correct that Deagle and Smeagol were of the Store variety? Is that correct?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm not one to answer that.
I'm pretty sure that's what I remember.
Yeah, I think that that was their closest connection, their closest ancestry.
The river folk. Now, you see, Frodo refers to Smeagol as, "You are one of the river folk." And this is an interesting concept because Tolkien tells us in the early prelude concerning hobbits, the prologue rather, he says that some of the hobbits are very much not disposed to boats or water or swimming, while the other kind, that included Smeagol and Deagle and their clan, they were part of the river folk, and they were much more inclined to have boats and to go fishing, especially on the Great River, Anduin, because the story is sourced from that river vale, and that isn't so far from where Isildur was betrayed by the ring, and it fell from his hand. So it's kind of interesting. Maybe there'll be linguistic changes. If anything, that might be pretty cool. That the show is giving us, season 1, Harfoots. Other seasons, other early prototypes of hobbits, and they're distinct. That could be something pretty cool. Actually,
if the Stores are river hobbits, for the river folk term, river folk. This also is strengthened by our rumor a couple weeks ago about Tom Bombadil's River Fairy.
Oh, you mean the River Daughter? You mean
River
Goldberry?
Daughter.
Goldberry.
Yeah, the beautiful
Oh.
Goldberry, the River Daughter, meets it's living in harmony with the river folk, the Stores.
I'm excited by this concept. Thank you. You have given me hope.
All right,
more, more
there-
to enjoy in season 2.
There's,
Yes, this is
there's
encouraging.
There's one more comment from the chat room. I want your immediate reactions. Would they use Ciarán Hinds' Oscar-nominated talent simply as the voice of the Ent?
Yeah, I saw that comment in the chat, and I said to myself, "Yes, that's fantastic. Wouldn't that be great? What if he's just Treebeard? Oh boy,
What a waste
Oh,
of a
boy.
good actor. Like,
no,
I want to watch
uh-uh.
him. I don't want to watch his voice. I want to watch him because he's such an expressive, dynamite actor.
Yes, but voice work combined with motion capture. Come on, anything can happen."
All right. Out of the 3 options, Círdan the shipwright with the big old beard and a ring bearer, a Stoor, a prototype hobbit, a Stoor, or an Ent. What do you guys like most?
I would say I would love to have him as one of the. I would love to have him as one of the elves, as Círdan, because he can afford to look a little bit wizened and a little bit older and fully bearded. You know, if he's going to be that iconoclast of an elf, yes, go for it. What do you think, Kelly?
Unfortunately, I'm quite unfamiliar with this actor. I never watched Game of Thrones
Mm-hmm.
or the new Harry Potter films. I want to. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Oh,
So it's
He was in one of the originals.
Oh, he was?
He played the older version of Aberforth Dumbledore, which would
He's
be
Dumbledore's brother.
Albus's brother, who has a
Oh.
conversation with Hermione and Ron when they visit him in adjacent to the Three Broomsticks in Hogsmeade. They visit him in Hogsmeade,
Okay.
right?
But
They
he's
have a
been in
younger-
he's been in a bunch of stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're not familiar, you're not familiar.
Me,
Yeah.
I just looked him up while we were talking. To me, he reminds me of the actor who played Beorn.
Yeah, totally.
Mm.
So it's easy for me to picture a creature.
Daisy
Oh, yeah.
Kim in the chat room is saying that she's watching some interviews, and it is a hard C, Kieran,
Okay.
not Ciarán, not Sheeran, not Ed Sheeran. It is Kieran. We were right the first time.
Like, it's not Celeborn, it's Celeborn. Yes. That's
Everyone
right.
in the
It's
chat
Kieran.
room says, Kelly, you need to watch
Okay.
him in Rome. Rome is an incredible show.
Yeah.
And you'll recognize many actors in the show of Rome. The other, another of the 3 new announcements, Cliff, is Rory Kinnear.
Rory Kinnear joining the cast as well.
It's another Irish name.
Wait, is he
Yes.
Irish again?
Well, Rory's an Irish name, and I think Kinnear is.
Yeah,
he
clearly
was
very
Bill
Irish.
Tanner in
Yes.
all of the latest James Bond's films. He was in Alex Garland's latest movie Men, where he played every man. He literally played all the men in the movie Men.
Oh, that's wild. That's wild.
He's an incredible actor. Wasn't he Moriarty in Sherlock?
Oh, I didn't see that.
Did anyone watch Sherlock?
I'm sorry, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I did.
Wasn't he Moriarty? Chat room, can we do
Wait, what's his name again? Rory?
Rory Kinnear.
I'll be right back.
Unrelated to Greg Kinnear, right? No. Susan says no, he wasn't in. So Rory Kinnear played a bunch of men in Alex Garland's Men. He reminds me of this meme. It's a famous Onion. The Onion owns Clickhole. He reminds me of this meme. Come on, look at this. Side by side. The worst person you know just made a great point. That it's a famous meme. Rory Kinnear, folks. I see a lot of comments from people really excited about Rory Kinnear joining the show, but I don't know what he was from. So what do you guys in the chat room love about Rory Kinnear? I recognize Kieran Hines from a bunch of stuff. This guy was in Penny Dreadful. He was in Penny Dreadful, which J.A. Bayona did the pilot for. And of course, he's been in a bunch of BBC stuff, and Black Hole, and Our Flag Means Death.
I don't think I've seen him in anything that immediately comes to mind. But you are really funny putting up the worst person in the world meme. That's too funny. That's just too
It
silly.
looks like him. Oh my gosh!
It's too silly. Come on.
You're
on. So funny. Don't memeify the poor guy. He needs to show up in the Lord of the Rings show and be someone we can relate to. Okay, come on.
Well, so if you guys want to see Rory Kinnear and his talents, his latest movie is called Men. It was released last year. So it's a brand new movie.
I believe
Alex
that's a suspense. Is it a suspense horror film?
I think so. I mean, aren't all men suspense horror?
Yes, they are. And thank you. Did you also say he was in some of the recent James Bond installments?
Yes, he was in all the. He was Bill Tanner in all of the Daniel Craig movies.
Got it. Got it.
But
okay.
if you want to see the actor acting, watch Alex Garland's Men.
And Daisy, thank you. Daisy Kim says he's done a lot of stage work. You know what I love about that is that the casting people at Rings of Power are pulling a lot of talent from UK theater world. I dig that. That's a good sign. That's generally a good sign indeed.
And then
they haven't made any real mistakes. The mistakes that we complain about in the writing department is never a reflection of what the actors are and how they've been cast. There's been some undeniably great casting choices for the Rings of Power, and it's intriguing to see that they're continuing with that solid pattern of making really, really strong, really good casting choices. But what the writers' room will do remains.
And we're not done with the casting, because we've got Tanya Moody, who was recently in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. No, she was not the other stormtrooper that defected to the Resistance. She was actually part of the Empire, whatever they call. General Parnady was right there on the bridge, calling the shots. She was a general in the First Order, and she means business. You do not mess with General Parnady, who is played by Tanya Moody, who just joined Rings of Power season 2.
Very exciting indeed.
So I'm very excited for her. That she is she was in Neil Gaiman's Neverwhere, and has been in a bunch of stuff. And she was in Sherlock. But she was most recently General Parnady in Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. So she knows how to play badass. So I'm really
good stuff.
I'm really excited for all three of these actors. And Amazon, when they announced these three actors, they say this is the final casting announcement. So this is it. This is, I think we're going to have to do a count, but I think there's 25 new actors joining the 23 previous actors.
Big expansion of this tableau of narrative threads, people, places, and things. Going to be a lot to follow through, but doesn't that kind of reinforce that they're really committed to the full 5 seasons. This is going all the way to the last alliance of elves and men, which is going
I'll
to
be
happen
really
years from now.
fascinated to see who she ends up playing, because that last picture you put up, she looked super, friendly and approachable. But when I Googled her, most of the pictures were like very austere, and like she looks like she
Oh,
means business. So
yeah.
she could equally be a hero or villain, or
She's always
could be
played
a
a hard
warrior.
ass, like a big badass, hard, like which usually is an antagonistic role. But the fact that she was a general in Star Wars, that's the screen presence she gives off. Yeah, you're right. Like this photo that Amazon released, of her joining the cast, does not represent most of her successful characters. It's like most of her characters are badasses. So so who knows? It like we can't even start to guess, and this is a big frustration that Amazon still won't tell us what any of these actors are playing, what area of the world of Arda they're from, or
Yeah.
what race they're from, or where they're stationed, or anything. And it's like it just feels like misdirection again, wasting our time, because we can talk all we want about, oh, he's gonna play Círdan, or he's gonna play an Ent, or she's gonna play Rune, or she's gonna play an Easterling, or she's just gonna play another another stationed soldier on the wall for one episode. Like it's not even worth talking about all that stuff.
I agree with that assessment. It is like, do you want us to have some generated automatic enthusiasm as a fandom? Do you want us to, prick up our ears and suddenly be like, oh wow, this is cool, and start paying attention to your show? Then tell us who these characters are that these wonderful folks are going to play. Just bloody tell us. Thank you.
We'd have a lot more fun. I don't know. That
Yes,
for me,
we would.
I would have a lot more fun if I could talk about if they gave us like who these characters might be playing. Even if they just give us their made up new Tolkien names, us fans could like dive into like, oh, well, based on the etymology of Tolkien's writings, this name probably derives from, there's a lot more to play with than just like, here's a pretty face.
Remember the fake names they sent out?
Oh my gosh.
Remember the fake character names that they had attached to the scripts? Kelly, you
And,
remember
and by
some
the
of those.
way, this is the final casting announcement officially from Amazon. If you've been following the show for the last few weeks, Fellowship fans, Dr. Nosy, and Torn have all been reporting on other actors joining the show that were not part of Amazon's press release.
Yeah.
And we still don't know who's playing Tom Bombadil. We only rumors that he's on set. But we might know who's playing
Love me and
Goldberry.
my yellow galoshes. People make that mistake all the time.
So funny. I'm so excited about Tom Bombadil just having nothing to do really but traipse through a couple of episodes and be all making songs up and being funny and goofy. I love that. I love this idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love
really,
that
I love
they
that
get
idea.
weird. I hope the show gets weird. I hope we have
Dude.
talking eagles and Tom
Kieran
Bombadil.
could totally be Tom Bombadil.
Oh my goodness! Hold
Who?
on, Kieran.
Who?
Yeah.
Folks,
Kieran Hines?
is this Tom Bombadil? Could you imagine this classically trained Oscar-nominated thespian
Wow.
just chewing up the scene?
He could really bring something very special to it indeed. And it wouldn't just be all like fun and frothy, goofiness. It could be something else entirely, but I don't know. Tom Bombadil doesn't belong to the seriousness and the sturm and drang of the big dilemmas that Middle Earth has. It's most interesting to understand why Professor Tolkien kept Tom out of the big dilemmas of Middle Earth. Really.
Interesting.
Because
Yeah,
there
that's
was a good
fascinating.
reason for that. Yeah, there was a good reason for that.
Well, the chat room, Magdary in the chat room says, I love Kieran as Tom Bombadil. Kaylin Griffin is just excited Tom to be on screen.
Yes.
YouTube is like, Dear Amazon, just tell this already, please. These games are not fun. Like these, like some marketing people high up in the corporate structure must think, oh, the fans love debate and discourse. It's like, no, we don't. No, we want to have fun. This isn't
Wow.
fun.
Hey, Mance Raider theory confirms that he is a king from the eastern lands of Hrun. All right, AK, that's really intriguing. AK in
Who?
the YouTube chat says that Mance Raider theory confirms he is Rune King. Maybe.
Is Rune white?
That's no, it should be rather different in its makeup of things because of
That's
where
what
it
I
is.
thought.
I wonder though. I wonder.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm just thinking of how in the Schwarzenegger Conan the Barbarian movies, how some great actors from stage and screen would show up and they would just be some wild, barbarian king who would have a few juicy lines and then gone from the rest of the movie. So you never know what's going to happen, you know? Um, uh, Christopher Plummer, I think. Christopher Plummer was one of those stage actors who showed up in a Conan movie as a legendary king, and he's in a very brief scene and has a few great moments of quotable dialogue, but isn't part of the main story at all. So you really don't know how they will apply the use of these actors just yet. We don't know yet.
James Hewitt wants to know, when is filming done? We have heard that season 2 actors have been contracted for a 10-month film shoot for season 2, which, if you've been following the show, they started filming back in November. So that means that they would stop filming by September, which lines up with a bunch of other stuff that we're hearing. That film stages have been booked, rented out by Amazon until September.
Oh yeah.
So that would be 10 months. So November to
exciting.
September.
My mistake, it was not Christopher Plummer, it was Max von Sydow. The great, legendary actor Max von Sydow shows
Yes.
up. He shows up in Star Wars, and he's got a brief, memorable scene. He shows up in Game of Thrones, and he has a brief, memorable character. He shows up in Conan the Barbarian. There are actors like that. Just saying, folks, that it is a common stripe in fantasy films,
That's right.
and fantasy stories, that you get a big legendary actor, have them show up to have some juicy lines of dialogue, and then never see them again. So we don't know, but it might happen.
Well, Rings of Power did that on season 1 with that really accomplished actor from Rome and a bunch of other shows that we really liked. And he ended up being Arondir's shift change on the guard wall.
Yeah, his shift change guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
Right.
and then the dude gets captured, by the orcs and whatever like that. But he really was like, he was just there as like a shift change.
Yes.
on
We
the
might
wall.
as well speculate right now that there will be a guest spot for Max von Sydow somewhere in Rings of Power at some year. It'll happen eventually. It'll just happen. Just say.
I want to ask you guys, as long as I got you here for the last couple minutes, and I'm sorry that we didn't get to talk about the thing I wanted to talk about, but
What?
like Women's History Month is all month long, so there's other opportunities in the coming weeks. I got into a debate on Discord, as I'm prone to do,
Oh dear.
that I've always, since Cliff, and you can attest to this, for the last 3 years, I think that Rings of Power needs a little bit of star power. It like, the actors are all accomplished and wonderful and the best actors ever. But the success of the show, we need some star power. And Kieran Hines is barely a start to having some real star power on this. Like, we need
Mm-hmm.
a Russell Crowe. We need like the Blue Wizards need to be like someone that not only the characters in the show are in awe of, but we as the audience, as soon as we see them as a Blue Wizard, we would be like in awe of. And I think
Right.
that's the power when fame is used well, is that you
Mm.
can use fame
Mm.
to elicit from us, the audience, a similar feeling that the characters would be
This
feeling.
is that's an interesting philosophy of casting, but I would like to lean a little bit harder into the idea that you want to cast the right person who's going to completely energize the role in a way that no other famous person could, just because of their own pure talent. And I'm looking at The Last of Us and the young actress who plays Ellie.
Right,
No
and
one
she
on
was in Game
no
of
one on
Thrones.
Earth, but
But
aside from a
but Rings of
brief
Power has already done
part
that.
in Game of
Rings of
Thrones.
Power has cast a bunch of people that are not necessarily famous, that have had some good hits and are familiar names and faces to some people, but they're not stars. Uh,
Right.
Kelly,
Well,
when you were researching Middle Earth script to screen, was there any conversation or notes about, you know, why they cast Christopher Lee and Oscar winner Ian McKellen?
Um, from what I recall, it was their auditions, because I know that there were other actors very strongly putting themselves forward as soon as they heard. Cliff, I know you know a lot about this as well. Sean Connery really wanted to play Gandalf, and I think it was I finally am able to see the chat now. I couldn't see the chat most of the time, but I think it is as Garfamau in the chat was saying, that you run the risk then of, if Sean Connery played Gandalf, everyone's just going to see Sean Connery as Gandalf, versus Ian McKellen embodies that character. And I'm not saying that Sean Connery wouldn't have done his best job or maybe couldn't have pulled it off, but it's so difficult when you're such an iconic figure for people to take that step into the story and allow themselves to be immersed, rather than Sean Connery just has such a distinct look that it would be difficult to alter his appearance enough to make him feel like someone else.
Yeah, but even like the season one Game of Thrones, they hired Sean Bean, you know, famous for, you know, Boromir, you know, like,
mhm.
and he looks like Boromir in season one of Game of Thrones, you know, like they pulled on some star power in early on in Game of Thrones to get us hooked. And I'm not saying we're not hooked, but I'm saying that if you're going to double the cast for season 2, and you're going to introduce double the lands, I don't know how they're going to do this, and start to set up some of this stuff, like, give us something to grab a hold of, to be like, man, I really like this actor and I just want to see every scene with him. And like, that's what I'm saying, like, and the other thing is, like, I'm tired of like explaining to my family who watch the show and be like, "Hey, why did they do this?" It's like, I can't keep justifying it. I need something in the show where my family who've never read the books can be like, "Oh, I like that actor."
Okay, I see what you're getting at now. I see what you're getting at now. Well, who's that going to be? Are we ready? Are we ready to have somebody announced in season 3 that's going to be like what? How big are we talking? Do you want Michelle Yeoh?
Who
Um,
do you want for a Blue Wizard?
do you want Tom Cruise? Do you want Russell Crowe? Do you want uh
By the
I don't
way,
know.
folks, Russell Crowe was not just a pie in the sky name pull. Why would Russell Crowe start following the OneRing.net on Twitter while they were casting Rings of Power?
Probably because he was bemused. He was probably a little bit, bemused and wondering what the heck all this energetic talk was all about. But I'm sure that him and his casting people who work with him, his manager, his agent, are pretty cool on the idea of Mr. Crow coming in and being part of, this universe. I mean,
Another actor who I know desperately wants to play a dwarf or an elf is Sam Heughan from Outlander. And his full name is actually Samwise because his parents were part of I'll call it a cult in London called Gandalf's Garden.
Yeah.
What?
Gandalf's Garden. I know quite a bit about
Sam Heughan?
Yeah.
I know a bit about Gandalf's Garden because in our documentary Ringers, we talked about and we interviewed the guy who created the Gandalf's Garden fan magazine. It was an independent fanzine that was created by this unique little hippie commune of artists and people who got together and made a little love commune happen in back in the day. And Gandalf's Garden was the publication that they worked so hard on, and we got to feature a lot of those magazine covers in our film.
That's amazing. Yeah.
If anyone from Amazon's watching, please contact his people because the poor guy looks like it means a lot to him.
Yes, please don't be afraid of fame. That's what I want to tell Amazon people. Don't be afraid of fame, because if you use the actors and actresses correctly, it only strengthens the character that they're portraying. Back to this recent casting. I just got a hard reality check from the chat room. Thank you for posting this, by the way. Why wouldn't we even consider Tanya Moody as the Blue Wizard?
Why not? Sure. Why not?
She has. Kelly, you just said that all the photos of all of her characters are big, strong, kind of alpha, stature. We were just talking about this. She has the screen presence of being a very powerful figure.
Mm-hmm.
Is it out of? Yeah.
I think it's a fabulous idea. Why not? Why not? Let's do it. But
I don't look forward to the Twitter discourse because
no.
But
hey, well, that's because Twitter is a cesspool, and who cares
and
anymore?
It's not real life.
Really.
Twitter isn't real life.
No, it's definitely not. But hey, how about we ask the people at Amazon Publicity to just reveal the characters. Just have them do it. We don't need to be stifled under a blanket of not knowing anymore. I think they can just tell us. Tell us.
We can't say this enough. We say it every episode. Every episode. No more mysteries. No more mystery boxes. Just no more mystery games. Not true to. It's not Tolkien at all.
I'm doing this.
One final thing before we go. We've got a breaking news announcement.
Uh-oh.
Breaking news.
Breaking news at the end of our show, at the
end of the show. It just came across.
Minute mark. We've got breaking news. Are you kidding me?
It just came across my desk. We're happy to announce, starting tomorrow, this is launching tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
One of the most favorite fan things. We have Middle Earth March Madness starts tomorrow. Everyone can vote.
Yes.
The first round, if you don't know how it works, Middle Earth March Madness, we will be posting a link at thewandering.net and all our socials. And then
I'm so glad you're showing the bracket. There's our full bracket right there. Look at that.
So you will vote. You get to vote on every single bracket and to see who goes to the next round. So this is going to take a few weeks to get through. There are 64 seeds, 64 starting positions. Every year we come up with a theme. Sometimes it's costumes, sometimes it's creatures, sometimes it's locations, sometimes it's best fight, best battles. This year, because we've now all seen Rings of Power, it's the first time, and because there's so many characters in that dang show, we decided to put a 64 character Rings of Power Middle Earth March Madness.
Oh boy.
You
This
will
is
be
just
able to
extra deluxe.
you
Extra
will
deluxe.
you'll be able to dive in and vote starting tomorrow, and so this is the link is gonna go up. I'm curious to see who's gonna make it through, because Middle Earth March Madness has always been fun, because if someone gets knocked out early on that you expect to go far, then it changes the whole dynamic of the game. And
it sure does.
The voting opens tomorrow. Round 1 voting ends on Friday. So we will be, and I don't know who else, we're going to get a whole team of people together Friday afternoon, probably around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock Pacific time. So nice Friday afternoon, multi-hour live stream where we get to explain and debate the credit worthiness of every character in Rings of Power. Should be
so funny.
A very interesting and fun conversation, and we hope you join us for an extra long live stream this Friday as we describe every single character from Rings of Power and tell you who won the first round. And of
I've
course,
already got friends who have been texting me and speculating their final four. That guesswork is way too premature, but I do appreciate those guesses.
Yeah, so
that's very funny.
Everyone's welcome to join, and I think we'll announce. We'll have the link to vote, and we'll announce all of your viewing opportunities and what time the stream starts for this Friday. And then on Sunday, we'll be at WonderCon in Anaheim with a brand new panel with stuff we can't talk about on the internet.
That is our big programming note to leave you guys with at the end of the show, is that anybody who's going to be there at WonderCon, have a wonderful weekend. Sorry about the bad wordplay. Really, have a great experience, and do not forget to come and find us on Sunday at the Anaheim Convention Center for our big panel presentation on dispatches from Middle-earth. It's going to be glorious, and you can get the details on all of our social media, and we also have an article on the main page of theonering.net. Kelly, are you excited?
For your WonderCon panels?
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yay. So am I.
And speaking of WonderCon, I'm hearing Green Dragon gossip that not only will Weta Workshop be returning to San Diego Comic-Con, and we might get our first preview of War of the Rohirrim. I'm hearing Amazon is bringing Rings of Power. So it's going to be all Lord of the Rings all weekend at San Diego Comic-Con. Going to be so much fun.
Later in July.
In July. So, yes. But it's the same company that puts on WonderCon. So we're happy to have the opportunity to talk to you guys and share some goodness and some fun stuff at WonderCon this week. Kelly, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk about what we wanted to talk about, but there's plenty more time because there's so much news coming out.
A lot.
Well, it didn't help that I kept disappearing. From the...
you pulled a Gandalf. You just disappeared and then you showed up. And
I'm really glad you made it. I'm glad you got through the storm to come back and join us again.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super fun. So follow Happy Hobbit on YouTube. They make the occasional video making pies and chicken feeding chickens and stuff like that. And if you want to see Kelly's books, go to Amazon.com and search for KM Rice, and you'll see all of her wonderful books that she's published, self-published and published with Weta Workshop.
You can visit my website as well if you want to read summaries of them and all that, which is just kmrice.com.
kmrice.com. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Super good stuff. I believe we, the OneRing.net, are the only J.R.R. Tolkien content at WonderCon this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think
Maybe.
Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime hasn't announced that they're going to be there, so we don't know.
No,
So
they're filming. I think they sponsored all the badges, but I don't think it's
right.
yeah.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's going to be a very exciting weekend. And wow, I have 2 wedding ceremonies. I'm going to be a very busy guy this weekend. I have a lot of brides and grooms waiting on me this weekend as well. And then I get to see you all on Sunday at the convention. I'm very much looking forward to this. Very much so. And
Awesome.
here we
Well,
are
thank you, Cliff.
at the end of the show. Thank you, Justin. Man, thank you for putting it together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much to everyone who tuned in as well. We really appreciate it. And to everyone who's watching the replay of this chat.
Yeah.
Or broadcast.
Absolutely.
Well, good luck tonight on this atmospheric river. I hope you don't lose power overnight and are able to stay warm and dry as much as possible.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wishing you the very best, Kelly. Thank you. Much love to you and to the family. Thank you for being with us on the show. And Justin, it's time to say good night to all the wonderful folks. You are the most faithful and wonderful audience. Thank you, everybody. And I'm pointing at the YouTube chat, but I mean everybody else as well. On Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and all the other mischievous places where you can find theonering.net. Just take up the dot, and you'll find us on social channels at The One Ring Net. Myself, Clifford Broadway. You can find me at QuickBeam2000 on Instagram and Twitter. Not that I'm using it much anymore, but I'm sorry. I do apologize, people. I'm lurking, but I'm still there. Still there. And Justin, are you going to be all right? You going to stay safe and dry where you are tonight, brother?
Yeah, I'm going to Discord right now with everybody else, putting !Cliff, because you have your own emoji reaction in the Discord.
It's too funny. You guys are way too funny. Join us at our Discord. It's the most fantastic place to be. And you guys, next week on Torn Tuesday, we will be here at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific time, as we always are, to bring you more mischief and mayhem and some unverified rumors and maybe some real genuine scoops. We're going to do that as well. Until then, everybody stay safe and take good care of yourselves. Until next time, I'd like to say, you don't think I'd miss your Auntie Galadriel's birthday?